And I know you don't think you were that bad. It's because you can't see as God sees. But that you were an enemy of the Almighty God, but God, rich in mercy, reached down, redeemed you, softened your heart, regenerated your heart, drew you unto himself, paid for your sin, and then adopted you into his family. When you begin to see that, you know why I get so fired up in here? It ain't for you, it's because of me. I know what a wretch I was, and he saved me. I can't believe it. Every week, I get a weekly reminder by walking through the gospel with my favorite people in the world that, holy moly, I can't believe he would save me. So I get a little fired up about it. And because he saved me, because he redeemed me, because he rescued me, I just want to herald it from the top of my lungs to anybody that would have ears to hear. And I know that I've been purchased so that I could do good works. I don't do good works so that he would rescue and redeem me. I want to illustrate it this way. My favorite gospel illustration. I shared it, I think, 3 years ago at Easter. We used to have 2 dogs, 2 boxers, Sadie and Samson. I wanted English bulldogs, but they were like $1,000 each. So I was on a youth pastor budget, so I got boxers because they were a couple $100. So, but they kind of look the same. You know, they got that mean mug look, and they're kind of ripped, and I thought maybe some of that would wear off on me. And so we got Sadie and Samson. And so we started with Samson, and he was awesome. He was regal and well-behaved and smart, and he was great. And when we just had him, we could leave him out in our house, and he would just be fine. He was obedient and, wouldn't get into stuff. And then we got Sadie along with Samson to be a companion, and it all went downhill. Kind of like in the Bible, it just really went rough after she showed up. And so so one day we come home in our apartment, and we opened the door. It looked like it snowed in there. They had gotten into the couch cushions and chewed up the couch cushions into a bazillion little white fluffy pieces all over the room. And she was so dumb that when we walked in the room, she didn't even know she was in trouble. She's like, hey, what do you know, just all wiggly. She'd wiggle so much, she'd turn in a whole circle. She couldn't even stay straight. And then Samson was like, oh, my bad. All right, so that's how it worked. Now, our dogs were super, super awesome. We loved them. And we were that couple early on that just loved them really too much. We would get them birthday presents and Christmas presents and let them sleep in our bed and all of that. And then some of you wise people would tell us, when you have kids, your kids will be your kids and your dogs will be your dogs. And Gretchen and I would talk all the time. We'd be like, no, not us. We'll always love our dogs. And then we had kids, and we put them in the backyard to stay out there. So our dogs are living in the backyard, and we have a fenced-in backyard, okay, fenced-in backyard. And our dogs, it's the craziest thing. When they lived outside, they always wanted to be inside. And when they lived inside, they always wanted to be outside. And they hated the fence. You see, they saw the fence as a punishment. But what they didn't understand is that the fence was for their provision and protection. Our house backed up to Hodges. Without the fence, they're dead in Hodges. And so the fence is not to punish them. The fence is to provide for them, to protect them, because we were good masters. We were good masters. It was for their protection and provision. Well, one day, I'm at work. It's about lunchtime. And Maria, one of our worship leaders, used to watch our kids for us early on. And so she gives me a call, and she says, hey, I peeked my head out in the backyard, and I haven't seen Sadie and Samson all morning. So I think you might need to come home. So I think, oh, it's not the first time. So I get in my car, hustle home, and I go around the back, and apparently I'd left the gate open that morning. And I'm sure what happened is that Sadie probably went over to the gate. It was like, hey, Samson, it's open. We should go for this. Samson was probably like, no, we really shouldn't. This is provision and protection. But she nuzzled her way through, opened the gate, and then he followed her, and out to the road they went. And when they got out in the front yard, they're just looking around, and they're like, sweet, no more fence, no more rules. The man can't hold me down. We can go left, we can go right, we can pee in the neighbor's flowers, we can chase cats. We can do anything we want, baby. Freedom! But you know what I know. Rebellion, those feels like freedom. It only leads to bondage or death. Those are your only options. And so I get home, and I check, and they're out, and they're running around, and I think, oh, no. And I've done this before, so I go and I get some cheese. And it's so embarrassing. You roll down the windows of your car, and you're driving slowly around your neighborhood going, Sadie, Samson, I got some cheese. And your neighbors are trying to help you. Like, have you lost your dogs? No, Grandma and Grandpa wandered away again, but they like to gum down some cheese. Yeah, I lost my dogs. So we used to live in the woods, so we go out to the little guard gate lady, and she says, I saw them about 9:30 this morning. At this point, it's after lunch. She said, I saw two dogs, two boxers, and they just went right out onto Hodges, and they took a left towards Atlantic. And when I first found out they were gone, I was thinking, if I can find these dogs, I mean, they were under my wrath. But at this point, I'm going, oh, Lord, please just help me find them. Because I don't want to come back and tell my kids, Sadie and Samson have gone to a happy place, right? Your parents lie to you too? Right. So I'm riding around this apartment complex, and Gretchen calls, and she says, I found them. I was like, sweet, where are they? She said, they're on the internet. Huh? They start a Facebook page? What do you mean? Well, somebody got the dogs, and they took them to the pound downtown, and at the pound, or whatever it's called, they take pictures of the dogs and put them on their website so people like me can identify them. I thought, great. And so I called them up, hey, I think you got my dogs. I saw them online, and they said, all right, well, you're going to have to come on down here. And so we don't go downtown very often, right? Because much like most of you guys, we all live out here at the beach where the Lord lives. And those of you that live downtown and make your drive out here on Sunday, it's to meet with Jesus because he's out here with us. So God bless downtown. And so I go downtown, figure out how to get to the pound. I walk in and tell the lady, hey, I'm here to pick up my dogs. And here's what I've realized too, is that there's a reason some people work with animals, because they don't have what we call people skills, all right? And so they just keep bacon in their pocket so somebody will like them. And so that was this lady. And she's just mean to me. It's like, what kind of dog owner are you? Because we didn't have tags or collars or any of that stuff. And so I'm like, all right, lady, can I just get my dogs? She says, okay, but first you've got to go identify them. We've got to take you into the back. And so we go into the back where all the kennels are, the little doggy jails. And Sadie and Samson, they were in the 7th kennel back. And I'm walking by all these other little captivated dogs, and they're all running to the front like, pick me, pick me. And we go to the back, and there are my dogs. And when Sadie, the dumb one, sees me, she's like, hey, where have you been? We have been looking for you everywhere. Right, Samson? Samson goes to the back of the kennel, tucks his tail, sits down. He's like, my bad, dog. You know, he knows. You see, rebellion, though feels like freedom, always and only leads to death or bondage. So I go back out to the front desk to fill out the paperwork. Okay, what do I got to do? Fill out some paperwork, whatever. And they go, well, actually, it's $290 for each dog to get them back. And I'm like, do what? Now, what am I going to do at that point? I mean, would it make any sense at all to be like, time out, can I go talk to my dogs again, please? And to walk back in there and say, hey, listen, Sadie and Samson, I'm going to get you out, but you owe me $290. You better get a job. You better deliver a paper or race a greyhound or something, but you owe me $290 a piece. What are they going to do? They have incurred a debt that they cannot pay regardless of what they try to do. They are unable to repay the debt that they, by their own sin, have incurred upon them. Or what if the dogs would have come to me and said, okay, I tell you what, master, here's the deal. If you'll get us out of here, from now on, we'll be perfect. We'll be the best dogs ever. We'll clean up our mess. We'll fetch your slippers. We'll bring you the paper. We'll teach the kids to walk and talk and add and subtract, okay? We'll be the perfect dogs, the best dogs forever from this point forward. Well, there's a problem. That still doesn't do their good behavior from now on doesn't do anything to pay for the debt that they've already incurred by their bad behavior. And so I asked the lady, well, what happens? Okay, so let's say, that's almost $600. What happens if I don't want to pay almost $600 to buy these dogs back? And she goes, well, then you will fill out some paperwork and you'll put them up for adoption. You'll legally turn over ownership to Duval County. And I go, well, what do y'all do? I mean, do you euthanize them or what? They go, no. We bathe them, shampoo them, clip the toenails. We need to fix the male because he wasn't fixed yet. Because I just didn't have the heart, because Gretchen and I were having that same conversation about me. So me and Samson were just going to hold strong to the end. So, is that too transparent? Is that? So that's where we were anyway. So, I said, but then we adopt them out. We find some good owners and they'll adopt them. And I go, okay. And I look over to my left on the way out. There's the door to my truck and there's a big poster. Special today. Adopt a dog for $30. Huh. So I looked at the girl and said, all right, I want to relinquish ownership of my dogs. She looked at me like I was the devil incarnate. And so I fill out some paperwork, and she notarizes it and hands it back to me. And I take my piece of paper, and I take about 3 steps towards the door, And I come right back to her face and say, "Hi, ma'am, I would like to adopt some dogs, please." And she says to me, "You can't adopt your own dogs." Ma'am, I have a notarized piece of paper from Duval County that I don't own any dogs. You own dogs, I don't own any dogs. I want to adopt 2. A male, a female, maybe a boxer's. You got anything like that? So she's angry, she scoops up her papers, she goes to the back, I can see through this, big glass wall, and she's talking to the manager, and she's like, and he's like, "You can't over there." They're arguing, and then he comes back out with a clipboard, and I found the loophole, and so he slams down the deal, and then I have to fill out this paperwork proving that I am a capable dog owner, and so I fill it all out, and then I take the money, and for $30 each, and the little form to adopt the dogs legally back into my family, I redeem my dogs and adopt them back into my family, all right? And then I say, "Okay, can I pick them up now?" This is even better. I say, "No, you have to wait 3 days." Now, don't lose that either. 3 days. Because we have to bathe them and shampoo them and clip their toenails and even give them back to you clean and better than when you gave them up. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. Amen? That rebellion always feels like freedom, but it ends in bondage. And there's a debt that you can't pay. You can't pay it. Even if you're perfect from this day forward, you can't pay for the sin that you've already done in your life. And yet God, rich in mercy, full of grace, who loves you because that's just who he is, will pay your debt to forgive your sin. And this is huge. It's just been something that's been so clear to me lately. And when he died on the cross and he shed his blood for you, yes, our sinfulness was imputed unto him, and he received the full wrath of God, and his righteousness was imputed unto us, and we were justified before God. We were in right relationship before God, but that's not the end of the story. And then not only did he justify us, but he adopts us into his family as a full heir, a son or a daughter of the Most High God. And that's the gospel. It's by grace that you have been saved through faith and not by works, so that none of us could boast.